Hello and welcome to Mickey BRC. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as you can see here, we've got another video for you helicopter guys or people who are just interested in getting into helicopters. So this here is an offering from FLYWING. For quite a few of you, and probably if you come here, you're kind of interested in these sort of GPS type helicopters, or maybe you're just looking for something just to enter into the hobby with. Perhaps you've been flying planes and you want to get into helicopters, and you've found your way here. So I appreciate that. Now I know a lot of you are sort of on the fence in regards to these GPS helicopters, and I can see its benefits, its pros and cons. Now for those of you, and I'm guessing many of you started off the old school way, where you learned from flybar systems and you moved to flybarless systems. You've crashed a number of machines, you've repaired a number of machines to get to where you are now. And you're very proficient pilots, and kudos to you guys for going through that route. Obviously now with these GPS helicopters, it means that it opens up the hobby kind of to people who may not have that time, that sort of money to go out and get new machines almost every weekend after you crash it, or parts, so to speak. This is a good way, I believe, and it is controversial, it's a good way for someone to enter into the heli world. Whether you've been flying planes for ages and thought, I want to try something different, whether you just like helicopters, you like RC, you've gone past maybe a field a few times where you see RC pilots flying around, you think, gosh, I'd really love to get into helicopters. I think this is a good way for someone to get into the hobby. Maybe you're a person who used to fly, but because of maybe some disability issues and anything like that, and maybe this might be an avenue for you to continue experiencing flying. But I think it's good for the beginners. Obviously we've got the GPS mode. We've got something that kind of settles it in, flies like a drone. Won't go into new brands, but you know what I'm talking about. And then you've got attitude mode, which doesn't have the GPS lock, so it will move, it will drift, but there's stabilization. And then you've got 3D or 6G or whatever mode they kind of call it now. It depends on the brand, where you have a lot more freedom. It's like flying a normal flybarless helicopter with a bit of the stabilization as well. This I think is a really good way to step into that. You can grow with it, and then switch to different modes as your skill and your fingers or thumbs sort of get dialed in. You get used to the orientation, and either that or you'll just want to send it, want to have a bit of a play, and that's perfectly fine as well. It's all RC flying, it's all fun. One thing from the videos which I've seen online is you don't see a lot of well, you do see someone throw the battery in, put the battery in the transmitter, unlock it, get the GPS lock, send it, and talk about the return to home, walk around with the transmitter in one hand, holding it up as they're walking around as the thing's hovering. That's all good and well, and it's good capabilities that it's good to show off. However, we're not sort of, the aim of this video is to show you the things you should be doing on the heli that you would have to do on larger helis, things like the Roban helicopters, Vario, those sort of things, the basics kind of thing. Things like, the balancing of blades. Now, I don't know how I'm going to balance these blades because of the funny rotor head they have on them, but at least give you an idea of what you should be doing, some skills or some knowledge that you should be gaining along the way, not just flying, but also, the maintenance and things like that. I'm going to be changing the receiver from this because I don't want to fly with these transmitters, because I'm getting into Jeti at the moment. My big 800 EC145 is on Jeti. My Bell 222 was on Jeti. So I'm wanting to, because I haven't been using Jeti for that long, I'm wanting to get used to it. So I thought I'll throw in a Jeti receiver, and I do have a Rex 7, which I believe will be good for this one. And we may even pull out the mechanics, go through the mechanics just like you would with a Roban or a Vario or any of those other brands. You're going to have to take the mechanics apart. You're going to have to Loctite things. You're going to have to check things for play and stuff like that. We may even have to weigh the blades to see whether they're all the same, because that can affect, there's a small helicopter, a few grams is going to have a bit of an effect on it. Tail on this we don't have to worry about too much because it runs off a brushless motor. I would really like to see a full tail, set up with the torque tube going up to the tail and the whole, the rotor system that's connected, the tail rotor system connected up to the main rotor system. Maybe that'll come later. I've heard whispers and that, but, this is obviously a winning formula for Flywing, and they're probably making, a good sort of dent in the market in terms of these helis. So, yeah, we'll jump on into this Bell 412, and uniquely as well, it's an RACQ Central Queensland rescue helicopter, which I love a rescue helicopter, but for something that's closer to home, I think there's a really neat choice that they chose to go with in terms of the scheme. We'll open it up, we'll take the mechanics out, we'll see what's in there, and we'll start playing around. This one also runs the ACE flybarless controller, so I haven't read up too much about that. I've been obviously invested in the my Roban EC145, invested in the H1, so I haven't read too much into the ACE controller, but we can go through that together, and maybe at some point we'll go through and maybe put some scale details in this. I've been looking at some 3D printed parts that could look very cool on this, maybe a scale cockpit or anything like that. So yeah, we'll take it as it comes, but we'll open it up and dive on it. Alrighty, so there's the 412. Pretty nice detail actually, and it's quite well thought out as well. I have to admit, there's a lot of rivet details. One thing I didn't like were the lights down here. These are lights here, so we may look at changing that to where they are on like the scale positions, which obviously one is here, and then we got another one. I think they're about here on the scale version, and we'll look at other places where we can maybe put some other lights. Engine exhaust, maybe look to tidy that up a bit. Yeah, so I mean, as a standoff scale model, it looks pretty cool. This head is quite unique as well. We can see there's some springs. So how this works, and you've probably seen the video, the blades go in like that, and then they twist, and that's it. So, to open it, we've got this cool little funky hatch here, and then we pull it out. So there is your ACE controller, and I believe this has this is the GPS module, I believe, up in here. Whereas my one in the 800, that has a wire that goes to the GPS module, which I've attached to the torque tube. Here we've got, I think it's an FR Sky receiver, so we will be taking that out, and it's using like an S-Bus type protocol, which is nice because I know that the Rec 7 can use it. So we'll just snip that off and replace that with a Rec 7. Over here you got your XC60 connector for the battery of which does come with this particular kit, and it's a 5000 4S pack. Cool that it's included. One thing I don't particularly like here, and it was actually, I think, a video I watched Brian Phillips do, is this. So this is the ESC, and this wire, which is for the tail, the motor for the tail, kind of rubs up against here. I can see why they did it, because you got your teeth here for your rotor, and it looks like it's direct drive too. There's no belt on this, which is, yeah, you can just make out the motor in the back. So yeah, I can see why they put cable ties and that here to get this wire out of the way of those teeth. My concern is the heat coming off this. I'd rather have all this sort of unobstructed. I don't know how much airflow gets into this, because you've only got these only got those inlets there which gets air in. I don't know how it gets air out. So you may have to look at opening this up. The full size has a vent here, so I may put something there, 3D print, like a louver or something. Here you got your servos, and the rear one is probably tucked right back there. I mean, I'm going to take this out as well. Looking at how you take this out, you've got two screws at the front, and then I believe you got 2 screws down there as well, which you undo, and this should all slide out. So yeah, some things will tidy up. I definitely want to tidy up this wiring. I don't want this in the heatsink, and how that's crimped there like that, I'm iffy about that. So we'll come up with a new sort of arrangement for this. So what we'll do is we'll undo the mechanics, and then we'll show you what that looks like. So there is the mechanics. Very compact, basic, but it seems to be functional. So we got here, we've got our receiver, the ACE controller, got our outrunner motor. Let's have a look at it. Can I see any specs? No. No, don't know what size that is. Anyway, so that goes into your pinion, which then measures up to the main gear here, connected to the main shaft. Interesting that the arrangement with this. So the pitch, yeah, you won't be able to adjust those for pitch. So it's kind of, it is what it is. I assume because they're all the same size that it should be, yeah, it should be fine. We may just have to look at leaving the swash plate when we change out this receiver. So I don't know what it's going to do, but I assume that, yeah, it looks all good. You can see here stickers, Bell 412, ACE scale. So they must have different, yeah, there must be different versions. Anyway, we will get the receiver off, and in my little parts bin, I think I have, yes I do, a Rec 7, which find a home for in this. We have to do it this way actually. Yeah, and then the aerials. We have to come up with a solution for that, but for now we'll take this off, and then we will put our Rec 7 in, and yeah, we're going to have to go into the software. And the good thing about these kits is they do come with the cables, but I already have one for the AC145 anyway. We'll go into the software and we'll just see how it's all programmed and see if we can get it right with the Rec 7 and my Jeti transmitter. So we'll get this off and power it up. So here we go. Actually, almost bloody forgot the cardinal rule. Before we go and connect this up, I've taken the receiver off now. So it's just held on by the foam adhesive tape. And what we will do is we will go through and take these bolts off, grab our trusty paint marker, Loctite them, put them back on, just to make sure that everything is secure. It's something, again, the videos that I've seen so far don't really go through and tell you this. You don't need to do it, I'm sure, but if you're going into bigger helicopters, you're going to need to do this. So this is good practice anyway. So plus it gives us a little bit of security to say, yes, it's all done. Hopefully nothing's going to unwind. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll start taking these bolts off, marking them after putting some Loctite on them. And yeah, then we'll do the receiver. Alrighty, so I've taken off a couple of the bolts so far, and good to see that we have Loctite on them. Not saturated either, although that one's a bit questionable, but anyway. So again, good practice to go through this, make sure everything is has got Loctite in it. You know, you spend quite a bit of money on these things, and it provides a bit of assurance that it's, you know, it's going to serve you well. Last thing you want to do is have something silly like a bolt unwind, get into the machine, and that's it. It's over. So yeah, good FLYWING. You know, good on you guys for putting on the Loctite. But just for added assurances for me, I'll go through everything like I said before and re-Loctite them or put Loctite on them, depending on whatever the case may be. Alright, I think I just wanted to show you something while I've been working on it. So there's another good reason why you should take these the mechanics out of the machine to really give it a good inspection. That I'm pretty sure is actually rubbing on the ESC. So the gear looks like it's rubbing or really close to the ESC. Too close for my comfort. So I'm going to have to reposition this, but you know, you probably couldn't have seen that the way it was in the body. So yeah, again, it pays to really take out the mechanics and check everything. Also, I noticed I put some crosses on here to tell myself not to put Loctite on these because these are going to plastic. And I'm pretty sure blue Loctite will like eat plastic. So just be mindful of that where you're going into. You can tell that's obviously metal in there. Some braces here, which looks to be aluminium. So that's fine. Oh, okay, I didn't even notice that. Little capacitor. Must be for the the gyro. Anyway, yeah. So these ones, where I've got the crosses, they're plastic. All the other ones which I've come across so far, if we go to the other side, all these ones here, they are going into metal, they're fine, but these four are plastic, so don't put blue Loctite on that. I've just left them as is, because yeah, you can tell the difference, because the thread on the screw, or the bolt, changes dramatically, so you'll be able to notice it straight away, so don't put Loctite on these ones. But we'll carry on with this, and I think I'll mount this on the bottom of this plate, at least to get it level with that. I'd rather it be sitting on there than, God. Again, this is why you should really pull these things out. The factories are good, but they're not always perfect. So it's up to you as pilot in command to really go over these things, double check them. But yeah, we'll carry on and I'll continue Loctiting in and we'll reposition this ESC. Alrighty, so I've reseated the ESC back in. It is close, but I wanted to have enough room in case I need to get to these screws without having to take this off. Yeah, it should be fine there. It's not going anywhere. Another thing I did is I put a little bit of tape here, mainly because of the wiring for the motor that comes out of the ESC. It's, yeah, I mean, there's sharp edges on this, so that should help soften it a bit. So if there's any vibration developing, it shouldn't cut into the wire for the motor. But at any rate, all of these bolts have been Loctited, the ones where I can Loctite them. So I'll double check the head for tightness, and then we will go through and start binding up the receiver. But yeah, cool little unit so far. Alright, so we've bound the receiver, I think. Now we need to change the protocol to S-Bus to then work with the ACE controller. The beeping noise is the helicopter itself binding, and now it's flashing red, so I'll just bring it over here. So we've got our Rex in E1, and we're going to program that to S-Bus. So how do we go about doing that on Jeti? Right, menu, model, device explorer, into the Rex 7. This should be direct. Yeah, that looks good. Failsafe we won't worry about at the moment. These should all be servo. Right, E1. So that's where we've got the pin is on E1. So we'll change that to the S-Bus. Oh, model just, oh, there we go. If you can hear that, it's doing something in the model. So, okay, so we've got that all done. So that works, which is always a relief. So we'll just go back out. So now we're going to make sure everything's turning in the right direction. So if I move this, see the swash plate is moving. Yeah, there's a few things we're going to have to fix. That's collective up, collective down. At least rudder's on the right channel. And, oh, okay. I'm probably going to have to grab the cable and my little handy dandy tablet, connect it up and do some programming in there. But yeah, because we've got to see what we're going to assign the switches to for the run and stop. What else are we going to have to program? Run and stop, soft, normal, sport, home, GPS, attitude, and coordinated turns and off. I don't even know if I use half of these. We'll see what the programming can do for us in the FLYWING software and get it set up. Okay, so we've got the ACE controller plugged into the laptop, and they have to download the ACE software, very similar to the H1 actually software, but it's slightly different. So we've got our radio menu at the moment, so everything looks to be okay. We've got left, right, back, forward, and collective up, collective down, and we've got right up, which it's not even plugged in. If I go left, so this is mode 2. If I go left for the tail, it should say left for the tail there. If I go up on the collective, so you can see the swash plate moving up, positive for there, negative, cool, that all works. Aileron left, aileron right, and then elevator forward, elevator back. So that all looks good. One thing which we have to do is on this side we need to program the mode, the motor, the style, which I believe is like stabilization. So when I say stabilization, it's I think it's like increasing the gyro effectiveness, and then we got that coordinated turn. So to go through all of these functions, you'll need 9 channels. Even though it's a Rec 7, it is on S-Bus, so we can program all that. Right, so everything is programmed. We can go through and start the calibration. Ooh, come on. Please turn the rocker for calibration. So for what that is saying, we need to go through and basically put all the throws in for everything signed. And then once it's captured all that, you will then write the parameters. And it's now in here. So we will come back to this later. I don't think we should probably, well, it's probably not worth playing around with these. Well, that's quite steep though, plus 14, minus 9 for a scale aircraft. And, you know, on these blades, you ain't going upside down with that. So, yeah, that's it's quite an aggressive collective pitch there. But anyway, the parameters, well, we won't know. Compass calibration, we will do that. So the cool thing about this is, like the H1, you can start the compass calibration even in this sort of format here. So what you have to do, you have to like turn it around like 360 that way, then upside down, 360 again, on its nose, 360, on its tail, 360, and then along the length, kind of this axis here, you roll it one way and you roll it the other way, and as you start completing it, it'll fill up here until it's ready. I think with the H1, and I'm pretty sure you could do this as well. You would start the calibration. You can actually take this plug off, do your calibration, plug it back in, and once that is all full, it's calibrated. Or you can do it in the model. I think there's a particular setting they talk about in the manual. But if you're doing it in this particular state at the moment, you should be good for that. So brake gain, we'll play with that. Tail gain, roll gain, pitch gain. Maybe we'll play with that at a later point. Throttle, we'll leave that at 65. That's kind of what I've got on the EC145 anyway. But I programmed the rotor speed in the ESC. So cool. Come come up with an error. So technically, and I don't know whether I'll start it like this, I could start it and it would start through the normal ways you would do it. You know, you have to put the sticks down and out, wait a few seconds, click to run, and then this should start going up. I'm not really keen on doing it like this. I'd rather have it probably in the model. But at least now we have it all set up. This is going through some sort of mode. So yeah, we are good to put this back into the machine. Alrighty, so while I was having a bit of a play, I decided to add the sound files. The sound files I've used for the EC. And again, the switches I've used are pretty much the same one I have on my other machine. So we've got the style, as they call it here, which I think is a gyro gain, or like rates. Yeah, I think it's more rates. So
medium, soft, medium, high.
And then we have the modes. So at the moment it's in attitude.
GPS mode, return to home, attitude mode.
So pretty self-explanatory. I reversed the coordinated turns. I want it to be off when it's up and on when it's down. I don't even know if I'll use it. And then the motor.
Motor armed. Motor disarmed.
So pretty pretty simple. So we'll continue on. I can install this in the machine, and I think what next we'll do is I've got my scales here. I'm going to weigh the blades and may do some balancing for the blades. I can't really put on my blade balancer, but I can statically balance them. So, statically? Whatever. The balance, CG them, not balance them. We'll try and get them all the same weight, but we'll CG them. Yep, so we'll throw this into this, and we'll crack out the stuff for the blades and get that sorted. Alrighty, so I've just measured these quickly and I've labeled them. So this is the heaviest one at 36 point, let's get this right, 36.82 grams, 36.76, 36.74, 36.72. So even, I don't think it's really worth mucking around with cutting up little slices of this tape and then taping them onto the blade. I think that's close enough. We'll see how it reacts. I don't imagine it would be a lot of difference in terms of any vibrations. I mean, we'll see it. But yeah, I think it's pretty close. So we'll see how it goes. Now we will check CG points. So how I would do it is I'd grab a rod and we're going to look for when the blade kind of seesaws or teeters on here. So excuse the dust and stuff. So we'll just move this until the blade starts to, oh, it's already gone past it. Very sensitive, so it's roughly about there. So what I do is I'll go through this on each blade. Like I said, you're looking for when it perfectly balances, and then that's your CG point. So I'll go through, I won't bore you guys, and do that to all the blades, and what you're looking for is they should all match. Now, if you're flying scale, you probably want the CG point to be, further back. That gives a fairly smooth scale sort of feel. If you're doing 3D, you want the CG point to be up here. A bit like with 3D planes, you want them to be a little bit more tail heavy than you would for a scale aircraft. So similar sort of thing here. But anyway, I will go through and find the CG of all these blades, and hopefully they all match up. Alright, so I've got these pretty much in line with this rod, and then I've marked all the CG points of the blades. This one is just slightly off, but you know what? I think we're looking not too bad. Oh, maybe they're right. That's pretty close. I mean, that's what you want. So, kudos to FLYWING. The blades are pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. So we'll see once it flies, but at least we know that your blades are good. Okay, for those of you who may not have seen, and there's plenty of videos of influencers doing this. So blade grips, you blade grip here, trailing edge up, and you would seat the blade in. You have to push quite hard, and you'll feel it grip, and then it pulls out again. And then you move on to the next one. Again, trailing edge up. It's a bit tight. Maybe to wiggle it in, all the way through, then twist, pull back. So that's all 4 blades on. It's not a huge machine, although probably because I've been working on my EC for so long, where this seems tiny to it. But for someone who's just starting off, not bad for a 470 size. Blades are quite decent. Yeah, she looks good. What we'll do is we'll calibrate the compass. That's what we'll do. We'll calibrate the compass. Okay, so the machine's plugged in. Right, according to the manual, compass calibration. So please select an open area, calibrate the magnetometer. It's not really open. We need to do this outside. Well, it's calibration for the compass, so let's see if this does it anyway. So put the flight mode switch of the remote controller into home mode, then quickly dial to attitude mode, and then dial back to home. Repeat 3 times, and finally stay in the model home mode. Wait a few seconds, and the GPS light begin to flash red, and into the magnetometer calibration state. Remember, you can also do this from the controller, the software as well. So I'll just put this down here. It's probably not going to calibrate properly, but we'll give you an idea of what we're doing. So, what are we in?
Attitude mode. GPS mode. Attitude mode.
So we have to go 1, 2.
Return to attitude mode. Return to attitude mode. Return to home.
Yep, it's flashing red and green. So if we look at the manual, I don't know how long it stays in this state as well. Flashing red and green, calibration 0 to 25. So as we do them, it will change color, and then once it's complete, it'll be green. So let's do this. Right. So one of the steps was running like this. Then we'll go back the other way. Cool. One of them is the roll. So we'll roll it. And I'll roll it the other way. Nose down. And then we'll go the other way. And then nose up, roll. Nope. It's going red and blue.
GPS mode. Attitude mode.
Well, that's something I didn't notice. So if you're outside of the machine, you got it all buttoned up and you're wanting to see if you got GPS lock.
GPS mode.
So those lights, the nav lights in the front will flash. And I assume your GPS lock, they'll go solid like it does in attitude mode. So handy to know, because yeah, trying to see inside the canopy while you're waiting for the GPS to lock. Okay, cool. Got that done. Not advisable, but what could go wrong? So, like you would do for the controller that comes with, both of these. Oh, what do we got?
Motor armed. Motor disarmed.
Okay, so
Motor armed.
another
Motor
little
disarmed.
warning to let you know that it's not unlocked. So gives you a warning, gives a quick flash.
Motor armed. Motor disarmed.
Okay, that's cool. I don't want to run it up fully in here, but yeah. So that's and then it's on, and it's going to lock itself again. Cool. It's interesting how the lights flashed when it was unlocked and the motor was running. So the lights flash. So it kind of gives you some indication of the state of the aircraft, even when the canopy's on. So that's really handy. I'd never picked that up before in the other videos. So cool. I think that about does it. So we've done the build, we've done the calibration, we've gone through the mechanics, we've checked the blades. Yeah, I think the next stage would be get it out to the field and give it a field test. So I think all in all, it's not a bad machine at all. We got to see the inside or the guts of the model. We got to see the programming, and you got to see how easy it is to change it over to a receiver that you may already have and you're used to, you like. The ones that it comes with, I'm sure they're fine. Personal preference for me was to change it over to Jeti, but it's so easy. You can see, as I said, in the software in there, it's pretty self-explanatory, even though the what they call some of the things are a bit odd. But yeah, so there are obviously videos out there with people opening these things up at the field, flying them. If you're going to be going into helis, I would strongly suggest taking the time to open up the machine. You saw a couple of things with my one that was out of the box today. A couple of hours at home going through this, it's really no issue, and it's good practice as well, in my opinion, to go through the machines and make sure everything's Loctite. Everything's tight. Everything is where it should be. You have no components rubbing against moving parts, things like that. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you at the field next time, where I'll take it for a maiden, and yeah, show you how easy it is to fly. There are plenty of videos out there anyway, but at least I can talk you through things like, we'll have a look at the blade tracking to see how that is when it's in the air. If these things can hover without you sort of playing with them, it's a good chance for you to check the blade tracking. Not sure what you can do about it though, because the ball joints where you would adjust them on, say, like, you know, the larger models, you're kind of fixed with this position. So if the blade tracking is out, I'm not too sure there's much you can do. Maybe play with the servos, but it may not be worth it. Yeah, but anyway, quite a nice model. I reckon it will be a lot of fun to fly. If you can have this sort of technology in larger ones, that'll be even better. Obviously, I'm doing it with the H1 on the EC145. If it flies as good as this, that I'm hoping it will. Yeah, thumbs up. It means that people who are a bit nervous with flying helicopters, at least you can have a chance of success and then just enjoy the hobby for what it is. Yeah, so thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time, and we'll see you at the field.